topic number two. We got another game to get to, and I'm looking forward to this because I called this the best series. I believe we did a show last week, and we said which first round series is the most intriguing that we are looking forward to the most. And I picked this one. I had no doubt about it in my mind. Now I do think the Rockets and the Warriors make a strong case for number two. But I think this is clearly number one. And through two games, it has shown us that thus far. So the question that we have right now is speaking of Kawhi, is vintage Kawhi Leonard back? Zach, the mic is yours.
Yeah, well, let me say this. The one thing to me entering these playoffs that were super intriguing is that I felt like there were just a number of big storylines throughout the league and a number of big legacies that could be altered based on what happened in these playoffs. A couple that come to mind off the top of my head. Let's say the Celtics win the championship and they go back to back. I think we're going to have to start having some major conversations about Jason Tatum and where he stands when it comes to the best players in the league right now. I think the same thing could be said about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's likely to win an MVP. If he wins a finals ring in the same year, we're going to have to put him into a brand new category. And then you have other players like James Harden of the Clippers, like Jimmy Butler of the Warriors. Like both those guys, I think, are on championship contending teams, and they have a chance to win their first ring. But watching the Clippers and the Nuggets in game number 2 on Monday night, watching Kawhi Leonard, I was thinking about him and his legacy. And I think it's one of those cases where when we look back on Kawhi Leonard's career, it's going to be hard to talk about unless you were there witnessing it, because there have just been so many ups and downs. It's been a complete roller coaster. And I think he reminded us in this game number 2 why the LA Clippers traded 5 first-round picks and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to go get this guy. When he is healthy, he is still clear-cut one of the best players in the league and one of the best playoff performers. And the thing about Kawhi that is so intriguing to me is it feels like he is at his best when people have either just forgotten about him or given up on him or just have completely written him off. Because if you remember what the narrative was on him going into that season he spent in Toronto, he basically quit on the Spurs. People were calling him a diva. People were saying this is not a guy you want to build your team around. And the fact is that he's only going to Toronto for 1 year. He basically told the Raptors, look, guys, you could trade for me. I'm only going to be here for 1 year, and then I'm going back home to Southern California. And he won a championship in Toronto, and he still was able to get that ring, and he left. And then this year, look, I've been very high on the Clippers throughout the last few years. I've kind of been waiting for them to finally go on a long playoff run, but that's obviously dependent on Kawhi's health. This is actually, hopefully he stays healthy. This would be the first year since the bubble in 2020 where Kawhi would be on the floor to finish his team season. The injuries have just been so bad, but even I, someone who's been a big Clippers believer over the course of the last few years, I was pretty down on this team coming into the season because I thought last year they were in a great spot to go on a run. It was clear Kawhi wasn't right coming back into the playoffs. They lost Paul George. James Harden got another year older. I didn't love the pieces on this team, but I think they've had a great season. And I was very impressed with how they were able to bounce back after that game 1, which I thought they had no business losing. I thought they were really the better team in that game 1, and this was anyone's game, but this was also a situation where Kawhi Leonard was just not going to let them lose, and he was phenomenal. And I do think that we saw in game 2 that not only is vintage Kawhi back, but he has the ability to put this Clippers team on his back and lead them to a long playoff run. I think the Clippers are a significantly better team than Denver, and I'm pretty confident they are going to win this series and move on.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard is back, and it's good to see because I never thought he wasn't that dude at any point in time. You know, clearly we saw it, you know, whether it was on the Spurs when he won the championship, you know, whether it was with the Warriors. I believe KD was on that team by then, and they had a 20-point lead in game 1, and then Zaza Pachulia, I believe he twisted his ankle because his ankle got caught up with him. I think it was a dirty play at that time. And he was out for that series, and everything went downhill. He even lost that game 1 when he got hurt. And then obviously going to Toronto and carrying his own team and getting out of Pop's shadow and, you know, taking them to their first ever, finals. They couldn't get over the hump for years because LeBron James was in that conference and he got them over the hump and just had a crazy playoff run, which he was the best player in, locking up Giannis and obviously doing what he did, scoring the basketball as well as defensively. And now you get to the Clippers and where's the chip, right? Well, guess what? He's been hurt. Even last year against the Suns, he showed that he was the best player on the floor. Then he got hurt again, season over. And it's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to health and him being healthy. And obviously, if he is, then I think this team could be a very dangerous team as they're showing right now. Look, this series thus far has been competitive, physical, and a prime example of how the playoffs should look. Not like the game last night. I was out. That's why we're not talking about it right now. Because I work. I go to work. I'm not always on the air every time. I got a life of my own. I got to get the moolah. I got to go to work. Last night was horrible. I went to bed. I don't care to talk about it. Okay? Game 2 is how the playoffs should look. Now, if we could get that at various points during the regular season, there ain't going to be no ratings issue at all. Okay? Adam Silver don't got to worry about that. If players play hard and be physical and the game is competitive and you got the best players in the world on the court, you ain't got to worry about no ratings issue. I'll be up watching the game. Oh, yeah, I'll figure it out tomorrow at work, okay? I'll wake up. I set my alarm. That's what alarms are for, to wake me up, okay? Now, coming back to this game, or the series, rather, because I want to talk about both. Game 1, you saw Jokic show why he the best player in the world. 29 points. I believe almost had a triple-double, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. And I thought game 2, he had a solid game from the three-point line. He was actually knocking down shots from the three-point line. He's not a knockdown three-point shooter, but he does everything else. But he was knocking them down. I felt in the fourth quarter, he had a couple open shots that he just passed up on. And I thought if he knocked down those shots, they probably could have won the game. But you flip it, Kawhi Leonard took over the game, was the best player on the floor. And there was nothing that Denver could have done. They sent defenders over to Kawhi. No problem. Yes, it is a problem. He's still scoring the basketball. They tried to cut off his driving lanes. Still didn't work out. He made a lot of contested shots. I'm going to play a clip from the game, and I'm going to show you how good the defense was on him, but he still was knocking him down. Gets it back. I mean, look at him right here. Look at it. Highly contested. Can't do anything better than that. Aaron Gordon guarded him, had no answers. And I think when you watch this game, you see that Kawhi Leonard on any given night could be the best player on the floor. And going forward, how Denver choose to sell out to stop him, and the other guys, the role players, how they make them pay for that is what's going to be the X factor in this series going forward.
Who do you think wins it?
Clippers. I had the Clippers in 7 initially, and I'm going to stick by that. It could be 6. It could be, but I'm going to stick to 7 because I think Jokic is still the best player in the world. I think Jamal Murray, playoff Murray, is still a thing. Michael Porter Jr., every time we talk about the Nuggets, every single year, the X factor is always going to be Michael Porter Jr. because obviously he's big. He can knock down shots. If he can do that and defend a little bit, then this series is going to go 7 games. He's going to be the X factor, obviously, and the role players are going to be the X factor. Think about it. Yeah, sure. I spent the whole first lap talking about how great Jokic is and how great Kawhi is. But let's forget that for a second. One of the reasons why the Nuggets won game 1 was because who? The unsung hero, Russell Westbrook. He had a steal that iced the game. He knocked down a 3-point shot late in the game. His clutchness, experience, rather, is why they won, right? And obviously, that's not going to be the case every single game because with Russell Westbrook, when he's playing a lot of minutes, you're going to get the full Westbrook experience, good and bad, right? But game 1 was good. They won the game. Game 2, it was Norman Powell. He had a steal, he had an assist, and he knocked down a couple of shots down the stretch. So who the unsung hero is going to determine as well who could win this series and who will, because Jokic is going to be Jokic and Kawhi is going to be Kawhi.
One note on Jokic that was kind of surprising to me during that game too I just thought he had to be better in the second half. There were a couple key mistakes he made. I thought that really cost Denver, which were obviously just very uncharacteristic. Some bad turnovers, some missed free throws. He also took a shot. I don't think he realized that the shot clock had reset, and he took a terrible shot. The Clippers grabbed the rebound right away. And he missed some key free throws in game one, too. It's just very surprising. And I don't want to rip on the guy. He's carried this Denver team. I don't think they obviously wouldn't be here without him. And you could see how much their team really falls off when he's off the floor. But I also just think we're seeing why in this series, and we saw in game number 2, a big reason why Calvin Booth got fired. It looks like Denver has played a lot better and more inspired since they fired Michael Malone as well. But I thought his resume spoke for itself, and he at least deserved the opportunity to coach this team in the playoffs. But outside of this team starting 5, I just think they've done a terrible job developing young players outside of Christian Brown, who's a very good player, but I don't think he's some superstar. I don't think he's really a guy you could rely on. When you're playing Jalen Pickett and Julian Strawther and these guys who I just don't think you could really trust them in big moments in the playoffs. I think that is something that's going to really cost Denver in this series. And I expect the Clippers to take full command. I'm expecting we're going to go back to Denver for game 5. And the Clippers are going to be up 3-1 because I spent a lot of the first segment talking about the home court advantage the Pistons have and just how juiced up those fans are going to be. How about the Clippers playing in a brand new arena that's apparently a basketball palace? I want to make my way out there to the Intuit Dome. It seems like a really cool building to go to. And it's been a great home court for the Clippers all season long. I just think in game number 2, that was so big. And I was impressed. We know the Clippers, right? Well, we talk about a lot of teams and a lot of sports on this show, and the curse. The Buffalo Bills are one team that comes to mind. No matter how good they are, you feel like they could never get over the hump. They've never won a Super Bowl despite being there 4 times in the 90s and playing so many big games. How many games like we saw on Tuesday night have the Clippers lost in the past that they just had no business losing, and they found a way because their superstar put them on their back? I have been out on this Denver Nuggets team for a long time. That's only continued since they fired their head coach and GM. And I think the Clippers are going to take this series in 6 because I don't see them losing another home game. I'm confident that they're going to get it done.
Yeah, that home court advantage is going to be definitely something to watch. And obviously, their role players are going to be better. Like I said, it's going to come down to living with the results, right? Obviously, when Kawhi Leonard has a game like game 2, you know what you need to do if you're the Nuggets. Stop Kawhi. Well, try, right? Stopping is easier said than done, but try. Right? Sell out to Kawhi, force him to get the basketball out of his hands, and force the other guys to, and same thing with Harden, and force the other guys like Derrick Jones Jr., like Chris Dunn. I'll live with, listen, Batum can knock him down when he's hot. I'll live with that. If Batum is knocking him down, I'll live with that. I can go to sleep saying that Nicholas Batum beat me. I can go to sleep at night. But when Kawhi Leonard is doing what Kawhi Leonard is doing, I can't live at night or sleep at night. Not because he's not great. He's great, obviously, but because we got to make sure he's not scoring the basketball like that. Like I said, there was some highly contested shots that he knocked down. Kudos to you, brother. All right, you're that dude, but I'm not going to allow you to kill me all game. He killed them all game. Now, going back to the Nuggets point with Mike Malone real quickly, I agree. I don't think you fire a coach like that entering the playoffs. Look, I'm going to have a take for 99. I'm going to address that. But I will say this. He did not always go deep in his rotations like how he was supposed to. Kind of remind me of Tom Thibodeau. You got to play your guys because they're the ones that you're going to have to rely on to knock down shots when Jokic is tied. When there's 9 Jokic minutes, when he has to come out of the game to get a breather, they got to go on the court and produce. So that's why you play your guys because of situations like that. So I do agree there, but I still don't think he should have been fired. Look, Ty Lue was one of the best coaches in the NBA. This is going to be a long series, in my opinion, whether it be 6, whether it be 7. It's going to be long, and I trust Ty Lue to make those adjustments, to have that experience that he has. And you have championship DNA on both sides, obviously. But I trust the Clippers. Norman Powell, he showed that championship DNA as well. Zach, quick question just came to my head. I want to lob this up your way. obviously you got guys in these playoffs that hasn't won a ring yet. Russell Westbrook comes to mind. James Harden comes to mind. Jimmy Butler comes to mind. Out of all three guys, I know I'm sidetracking here a little bit. Who do you think has the best? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but who do you think out of those three guys have their best opportunity? And feel free to name a guy that I missed to win that championship for the first time.
I think it's James Harden because I believe in this Clippers team. And I would put Jimmy Butler as a close second. It's definitely not Russell Westbrook. I think he's played fine in this series. But the fact that he's had to be on the court in crunch time tells you all you need to know about this Nuggets team. And that's one thing I wanted to say about Malone. I don't really blame him for not playing his bench because I don't think his bench is any good. Like, there's really no one you could rely on that unit to play in crunch time. And I don't think that's because he hasn't played them. I think it's because the GM, Calvin Booth, who also got fired, has done a terrible job and he deserved to go. But on that note, I would say Harden. You felt early on in this game that it could be just a vintage playoff Harden game where the Clippers really needed him and he looked pretty disengaged early, but I thought he made a number of big plays late. I thought Jimmy Butler played very well in the Warriors' first game too. I would make him a close second on this list. But that's the thing about the Clippers, Lil. It seems like both of us are very high on them. And I understand right now the Oklahoma City Thunder are the toast of the town. They've blown out the Memphis Grizzlies without sweat in their first two games. But I'm telling you right now, they don't want to see this Clippers team. They don't want to see Kawhi Leonard on the other side in the semifinals. I think if any team in the West is going to beat Oklahoma City, it's the Clippers. I think they match up against them pretty well. I think that Ty Lue has a coaching advantage over Mark Daigneault. And for a semifinal, that would be some series. I'm really hoping we get it. And I would give the Clippers a legitimate shot to beat Oklahoma City. I really would.
I mean, obviously, I think Zubac would be the X factor in that series because unlike the Warriors don't have size. So even though, I mean, off the top of my head, I would say Jimmy Butler because I do believe Jimmy Butler and Steph is arguably the most frightening duo in the playoffs right now because of what they've been doing together the last couple of games with their scoring surges and how they're able to make everybody around them better. Obviously, the X factor would be the role players and their input on the game. You know, the Pods of the world, the Moonies of the world. And obviously, we know what Draymond Green could do as a facilitator without even, stuff in the stat sheet. He impacts the game, obviously. Now, even though I would go Jimmy Butler there, when looking at the matchup and the route to get there, because I do believe you're going to have to see the Thunder. Because I said it before the season started, OKC is going there. Right now, if we comparing how both teams match up against them, I think the Clippers match up better because they do have a underrated big that, although a little undersized, can get rebounds and hold his own. I'm thinking he's holding his own against the best player in the world a little bit as well. So the Warriors don't have that, and I think that will be their Achilles heel at some point. So yeah, man, I think the Clippers are dangerous, and part of it, and a lot of it, has to do with the guy that we're looking at right now in this graphic.
And I think their depth is very good. I thought you mentioned Batum. He's hit some big shots. I was impressed with Norman Powell. That's a guy who had a great first half of the season, but really struggled a bit in the second half. Struggled in game one. I thought he was key in game number two. Chris Dunn, I think we should mention him. I think he's one of the best defenders in the league, and he did a great job on Murray. And I think this Clippers team is a scary bunch. And I just think overall they've had a great season. If we compare to how we were feeling about them going into the season compared to now, it's night and day. Steve Ballmer deserves credit. Their executive, Lawrence Frank, deserves credit for the moves he made at the trade deadline. Even Ben Simmons has given them, I think, some quality minutes. Never thought I'd say that. Yeah, I'm all in on this Clippers team. I think they're going to beat Denver, and I really think they would have a good shot against OKC. I really would.
Yeah, salute to everybody that's sharing the video, the live. Appreciate that. Make sure you follow me on TikTok, and we on YouTube right now. Zach, I'm ready for halftime.
Before we get there, Will, I just want to say one point. You mentioned Ben Simmons.
Yep.
I was thinking about the Sixers actually today because of the Mets. Shout out to our baseball team here in New York. They actually swept the Phillies. Great series. And I was thinking about just Philadelphia sports. Could you imagine if the Clippers let Paul George go to Philly and they somehow go on a run here and win a championship and Ben Simmons gets his ring while the Sixers are sitting there with an injured Joel Embiid in his contract and an injured Paul George in his contract? and they're seeing the guy that they kind of just ran out of town win a ring, that wouldn't be great.
Nah, wouldn't. And
James Harden too, by the way.
yeah,
Forgot about him.
And James Harden. Can't forget about him. Look, I think when I look at the Clippers team, outside of Kawhi, who already proved that he can lead a championship level team, I see a lot of guys that have something to prove, that had the opportunities in the playoffs and blew it. I mean, when you talk Ben Simmons, I automatically think about the not scoring in the fourth quarter and passing up wide open dunks. Like that's what come to mind when you talk about James Harden. I think about 5, 6, game 6 and 7 James Harden. That is the disappearing act that is. And these guys have a lot to prove. And I think sometimes a change of scenery, sometimes having the right head coach and being able to just be role players, even though he's a number 2, but Kawhi Leonard obviously is doing the bulk of the work. And I think Simmons is perfect for this team coming off the bench. He's not required to be a star, a co-star. I think it serves them better. And that's why I think right now they are a very dangerous team. And like I said, I'm picking them to win this series.